we are.
Here we are again. I got my bucket hat on.
You do?
I've honestly never tried it. I always thought buckets are to fill.
Not to contain.
Not to contain.
I always associate the bucket hat with like 90s raves.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's made a comeback.
I think last time when I went to H&M, it freaked me out.
Really?
You go in there and it looks like Spice Girls clothes for the girls. And I'm just like wondering, how do you wear that? That's so difficult.
I mean, you wouldn't wear it.
I mean, in general, I just find it so interesting, the trend, how it just keeps circulating. And it's all about the money.
Yeah.
But, so I recently bought an iPhone 11 used. And I find it funny that everybody buys a new iPhone, but then what you have to do is zoom in, shake your phone, and then take a photo.
Make it look really old school.
Exactly.
That's true.
I feel like, what's the point buying such an expensive phone? These days, all phones are competing with their camera.
True. I guess that was like Instagram, though, originally.
Yeah, okay.
It was like put all these filters on it that blur it and make it look more retro.
Yeah.
Add grain when it doesn't have grain.
True.
But
I mean, like, the trend right now is like the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. But I've noticed like there's a certain like template trend going on. Do you want to explain? Because we were talking about this the other day.
We were talking about this. So we came up with this concept that there are certain templates. I was like, maybe, I don't know, this probably isn't true biblically, but culturally it is. That like maybe everyone isn't unique and that there are just like a few templates and everyone's built from those templates.
Yeah.
And then we tried to spot them. So we'd be like driving around, be like, that's a template person, because I've seen people that are like that. And then the other day we were sat out in Manchester, just like spotting the templates. In the UK at least, there's definitely the black hoodie, puffer jacket.
Yeah.
Black joggers.
This one. I mean, for the YouTubers, you can probably see it.
What? Oh, we're going to put something here.
We're going to put something in here.
I was like... But then there's like the hipsters, which probably fall into that a little bit.
Slightly, yeah.
Sure. There's just everyone. You've got your goth people.
Yeah. We were at Piccadilly Garden and we saw this goth person, people, goth template.
Yeah.
And we were saying like, probably she or he wanted to become a little different than society. Yeah. But in the end, you got loads of those people that identify as that, like pink hair.
Yeah. The people that want to look different so much that they look like everyone else that wants to look different.
Exactly.
It's true.
Template, man.
Life templates.
Well, speaking of templates, what we have is the biscuit of the day.
I don't know how that's a template, but I guess all biscuits are alike in some way.
Yeah, all biscuits are...
If you open a packet of Jammy Dodgers, they're all Jammy Dodgers.
Yeah, templates. We just need a template. But anyways.
What have we got today? Get that bag rustling. Get it right in the mic. Yes.
From Aldi, again. The good friends. Sorry.
But
I kind of opened it already. So.
Oh my god.
But anyways,
the biscuit of the day.
What do we have here? It does say biscuit.
It does. I was getting a bit concerned that none of the biscuits have been actual biscuits so far.
But this says it. It says waffle biscuit.
It says it on the tin.
Wafer biscuit.
Wafer.
Wafer?
A wafer biscuit.
Anyways, this is quite also another like...
These are amazing. I love them.
Old school, right? I feel like they've been here for a while, even though I've only been here for 3 years.
This was the original England.
Was England.
When people first came here, it was just a lot of green hills and those in the middle.
Interesting.
The Vikings like picked this up and they were like, here we will settle. Yeah.
All right, well, let's try it out. Today's sponsor are... we're not sponsored by
None of our sponsors actually sponsor us. This is the problem. But they might do one day. Oh no, I dropped it.
Okay, this is the crunches. For you listening to on podcast, I'll just make sure
like a makeup channel.
Make sure I'll just crunch it in the mic.
I feel like this is going to be the absolute worst for anyone that's just listening. On their like AirPod Pros, getting in full HD.
Let's pan it and then let's do it again. So they get like this.
Loads of reverb.
Yeah. What do you think?
They're amazing.
They taste really good. Caramel, ladies and gentlemen.
I Let's hear it for
10 out of
Caramel.
10. That was proper. I don't know which one it is.
That wasn't the right button. Caramel wafers.
Like this.
That's a bit dramatic for a caramel wafer.
We like this. But
We love
also, we're going to go to things we like.
It's time for things we like. I'm
It is.
still eating the biscuit.
People who hate like crunching noise and slurping noise probably hate this podcast by now.
This is not the podcast for you.
If you guys still stick with us right now, good for you. You're going to get some good.
It's like if you can make it through all of this, you will get a serious topic by the end.
Yes, exactly. Anyways, things we like. When I lived in Japan, I think it was like when I was 12, I went to Japan, and one of those artists who really is kind of like the father of Japanese worship, his name's Kosaka Chu. Kosaka Chu just recently passed away, but like I guess the scene in Japan, because like worship in general or Christianity in general is only like 0.007%, right?
Wow.
And in there, just, you know, he used to write, I mean, he wrote really beautiful worship songs that me as a church or me growing up kind of in church, it really helped me to kind of deepen my faith with the Lord. So for me, like, I mean, there's loads of songs that I wrote, but I would say like, you know, you can stream it on Spotify too. If you write Kosaka Chu, really cool, really talented. And he didn't just do worship songs. It kind of felt stylish too. It kind of sounded cool too. And he was able to actually play in bars and, you know, even concert halls too and stuff. So
Yeah,
really nice.
that's awesome.
So
Yeah, I haven't heard his songs, but he seems to have had a big impact from what I've... Even just the little time I've spent there, I hear his name a lot, and
yeah,
seems like
for
the
sure.
dude, the man.
So
Yeah.
that's what I like.
Kosaka Chu. I think mine is also a worship artist or artistes, multiple,
Artistes.
who we also met in LA.
Yes, we
It's
did.
the guys from Sanctified Vessels,
Mm-hmm.
who are just great,
Yeah. Period.
and we like them. So, no, they released an album called Surrendered last year, I think it was, and it's actually been one of my favorite albums, worship albums.
It's good.
And I love how, like, a lot of worship albums get super produced, and like the crowd mics aren't super high. It's like a lot of, sounds very studio recording, even if it is a live recording. But this one like sounds live, and I love how you can like hear everything going on in the room, and just beautiful songs. I love like the title of it is Surrendered, but the songs really carry that theme all the way through. And
yeah.
I think those songs always get me, where it's like those like recommitting songs of like choosing to lay things down again and like committing to follow Jesus, and there's great melodies, great lyrics. I want to sing like all of them in church.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the first two songs are some of my favorites, but every time I listen to it, like a different one stands out, so I couldn't really pick one. But yeah, we met them, we got to spend some time with them, did a little Q&A on the night where they were doing like songwriting and stuff, right? But great people.
Yeah.
And we went for K-barbecue with a couple of them.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Which was fun.
Really funny guys too, for
Yeah,
sure.
they were fun.
But I just love that. I don't know, that they do community. They're not just, you know, musicians or singers and worship leaders who meet up on Sunday nights. You know, it's really doing life together, writing songs together, and then encouraging and sharpening each other.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's just so real, you know? And then you just listen to the worship. It's like, no wonder the music's so impactful and honest, you know? So
I find them very inspiring in the sense of like, I was inspired by that community aspect. Like I wanted to come home and do that just by seeing them do it. But also there's certain songs and artists I listen to that I'm like, when I hear these songs, it makes me want to like love Jesus more. And I feel like I want to surround myself with those people that make me want to like follow Jesus and just feel inspired again by who he is. And like, that's what I love about worship music really is like, we can like sing to one another to remind ourselves of who God is, and that like fires us up again to do stuff. But anyway, I was getting too deep for things we like. This is supposed to be the this is the fun section. But we could go to the big question.
we could go to the big question.
The big question.
What is the big question?
This one's large.
It is large.
Has worship become a genre? Worship music. Like, we've spoke about templates in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone looking a certain way, dressing a certain way, all that kind of stuff. And this is actually a question I posted about 12 years ago on a forum.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a Worship Central forum, and I posted this before I wrote any song. Like, has worship music become a genre?
Yeah.
Meaning, is there one sound that we've just amalgamated into where somewhere along the line, I feel like, I don't know if it was a committee decision that we will all sound like Coldplay from now on.
I wasn't invited there, but okay, I guess so.
But yeah, somebody decided that we're all going to start doing reverby guitars and big drums, lots of builds, and I don't know, big choruses.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, has it become a genre? Is that a bad thing?
I guess, like, historically speaking about, like, worship, right? They used to just do hymns, right? Which was only verses, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, you can go right back through music history. I mean, you've got the Psalms, which obviously sung. We don't know what the melodies were necessarily. Yeah. Some people have probably studied into that, but they were set melodies, singing things. Often, from what I've read about the structure of the tabernacle, it was literally like hundreds of musicians, maybe thousands, surrounding the ark, and they would like sing almost like across to each other.
Okay.
These like lines and phrases, and yeah, that was pretty cool. And then obviously the Psalms came from that space of songs from the tabernacle. Then you've got like Gregorian chants, going back to that old school.
Yes.
And many different expressions along the way. But a lot of it was like no instruments, and then instruments would start to come in.
Yeah. But maybe we're hitting to a point where it's like, it was always about togetherness, doing it together, remembering.
Yeah.
It had this certain kind of power when everybody sings that one sentence, you know, one line. So maybe that's something.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good template, I think.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing that I think has stayed through, like you say, is that these are songs that we can sing corporately. Like, we want songs that we can all join in with and sing in a big group. And that's why I love, like, the Sanctified Vessels album and all those kind of ones. Any album where you can hear the voices. Because I feel like in worship music, voices should be the main instrument. Yeah. It's like, that's kind of what it's for, is that we can sing together and worship together. But I do feel like it's a shame sometimes when they become too studio-y. Yeah. And it's just like one person's voice.
True.
I'm saying that as someone who's written entirely studio albums that I worship. But I guess what I write and what we've done through Rivers and Robots and stuff like that is not necessarily... A lot of them weren't written to be like corporate songs. Yeah. They were like worship songs to help you engage in worship in the car, or like when your friends are around and you want to play some like indie vibes. Yeah. So there's different expressions going on, definitely. But I do feel like corporate worship has mostly stayed in one sound.
Yeah, definitely.
And one genre.
Well, I think it's like kind of like the whole concept of pop music too, you know, the 3-4 chords, you know? Yeah. Drop, you know, everybody knows it's happening, so it's a feel-good thing. Maybe like worship itself too, it's like to keep you away from that distraction of like, oh, what's coming up next? Yeah. It's just constant same stuff, you know? Like fire rhymes with desire, you know, like stuff like that.
There's going to be mountains and maybe valleys.
Exactly. You know, water walking and stuff too, surely. Yeah.
And when seasons change,
yes,
what does his love do?
Remains. It's really interesting. But I mean, like, there's a biblical part in terms of like, you know, singing hymns together, you know, remembering his word, you know, like, and also Psalms 2 is that too. Like, back, you know, I used to live in Israel, and it's so interesting. Like, when we were with like some of the military groups, and before we had like Passover or Passover, not Passover. What is that? Shabbat. What's Shabbat?
The Sabbath.
Sabbath. Yeah. So we had Sabbath, you know, Friday nights, and then it's so interesting. One of the preacher, or the, what is it called? Rabbi. So one of the rabbis, they kind of just sung like the scripture in front of everyone, and it was quite interesting. Thinking like, oh, kind of, that's the style, like singing while reading. You know,
I went to a Greek Orthodox church because my sister married a Greek person.
Yes, true.
And that was very like that. The kind of the priest would sing out like scriptures and psalms, and I was like, this is different to my kind of whatever my church is. So there's definitely different expressions around. What was it like? I mean, we spoke a bit about it, but like in Japan, was the worship very different, or was it a lot of like just English songs?
No, there is definitely more Japanese, just because Japanese people by nature, they're not really good with English. But a lot of the time, the songs are a lot more kind of shortly phrased. Like the main meaning is what we sung about. Or we had double chorus to actually do a chorus. But there was something beautiful about, I think, the Japanese language, because each sound is one syllable.
Right.
I don't know how to explain that, but like I love you would be anata o. Love you is 2 syllables, right? Japanese is anata o aishitemasu. That's 10.
Yeah. That's quite a lot.
So that's tricky. So a lot of the worship became a lot more like thought. Each word had to have weight. And I love that. I think in Japan I learned that each word had such weight, whereas let's say in the the worship these days, you throw in every now and then hallelujah, holy, holy the whole time, or Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. But and I
we
think
have it easy in a lot of ways.
It is easy, and maybe that is what kind of feels like genre, where we're not quite caring to each word. I don't know.
We have, like, we were at some friend's house the other day from Hong Kong, right?
Yeah,
and they were talking about the tonality of Cantonese.
True.
And even singing that, like you even have to think about your melody in the word, because that will change the tone of what you're singing.
True.
So you can sing the same word, but if your melody goes up instead of down, that changes the meaning because it's a different tone. So, like, tonal languages are even harder to write songs in, I guess. And so, but I do think it's easy to kind of default to simple things that we know. This works. We'll kind of throw it in there, which is kind of a shame. I think there's a balance of like familiarity. I want to write something that people can grasp and pick up easily, but challenge in there as well to like, can we say this in a way that's more thought-provoking and doesn't wash over us?
I don't know. I guess it's just because everything's kind of online, and like Hillsong and Bethel, so well established sound-wise too. They have chord, they have everything available on CCLI and stuff too. So I guess it's a little bit easier for people to just grab onto those music, and a lot of the songs are not that difficult anyways.
That's true.
But I think just like going back to like the singing in other tongues, like I feel that all the more it's important that we encourage that culture or that country to write their own songs so that it speaks, like the tonality. Like it'd be so hard to write, how great is our God, if the tonality in the end, God, if you go down, it actually means dog or something, And I feel like that in itself is like already kind of chain the whole concept of like free worshiping and, speaking in that context, in that country, what God's speaking in there. So
on this like subject of worship and genre, I always think about this time we were in the Philippines. We did a missions trip went to some prisons and did like outreach there, and there was a prison worship team made up of people who are in the prisons, and these were people who'd got saved in prison, so they'd never really heard worship music or like sung music in church. So they just like put their own worship team together. And like the way that they sang, the songs that they were singing sounded like Led Zeppelin or like whatever they'd grown up listening to. And so there was I just found it really interesting to hear worship music by people who've never heard worship music. And how much it was just a reflection of the music they like and their authentic thing. And they were just using the styles that they like and enjoy to worship Jesus and give the glory back to God. And that actually was kind of my curiosity with starting to write songs, was like growing up in Manchester, where it's very diverse musically. We get bands coming through all the time. Like there's certain genres and styles that I really like. And so probably at that time I was listening to a lot of folk music. I really like electronic stuff as well. And like these days a lot of indie and jazz and hip hop and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of music genres that I just related to and enjoyed, and as a musician were enjoyable for me to listen to and write in. And I was just kind of thinking, okay, I know worship music sounds a certain way, but almost pretending I've never heard worship music. Like, if I just want to use what I like musically to glorify God and sing about Him, what would that sound like? And would anyone even like that? And that's basically what Rivers and Robots was. It was like me in my room just going, okay, I'm going to make electronic worship music and see how that goes. Which I think has connected with a lot of people. And obviously through that we found other artists. Probably at the time it was like Loud Harp, John Mark McMillan,
Ala Vista.
Yeah, and then like King's Kaleidoscope, Citizens. So like there were other people doing it, but I think nowadays it's exploded even more. That not to say that it's like it's because of us doing it, but I think a lot of people were doing it. But I think now that's not so weird. It's like I think people know there's a freedom to like we can write different genres and worship through it, and that's okay. But I still think there's a bit of weirdness in where those songs belong sometimes, because I still grew up thinking, okay, I'm writing these songs, but I'm not going to sing them in church because they're not congregational worship. But then we'd see people on YouTube singing the songs in church. I was like, oh, you can do this. And then I think a lot of the indie worship artists now are like almost like, well, this musically sounds different. It sounds very like indie, electronic, whatever. So lyrically, should I make it less like a worship song? Should I make it more like make it feel like an indie song, but then in there you're like, oh, it's about Jesus. And I felt that too, but I think I am having to remind myself almost all over again not to like, because I'm doing a genre doesn't mean I have to sit into writing about what that genre writes about.
Exactly.
Like I can still adapt that style and use it to like praise Jesus completely. And I think that's what's unique about it and why people are really drawn to it. It's like, this is upfront and it's very God focused, but I can also play it when my friends are over and it's good music.
Exactly.
But I think there's the point I'm trying to get to with all that is I wonder if there'll be crossover where we start singing these songs in church. Like, will we be singing Isla Vista on a Sunday morning and like, you know, Taylor Armstrong stuff? Because I'd like to do that.
That'd be fun.
But
for sure.
I wonder if it will always feel like a separate, this is the indie thing, but Sunday morning we still sing our big builds and reverb guitars. Or are we ever going to move past it?
Will we ever?
I don't know. Maybe we're stuck here now.
We'll find out.
But it moves with the times gradually.
Yeah.
But I feel like all of congregational worship music just moves as one collective rather than like diversifying.
For sure.
And I'd like to see it go more directions at once. But that's why we need people like you listening at home to write your authentic worship songs.
But I mean, like, again, speaking in terms of genre, like for me, that's why I see like worship is not a genre. Worship is, is you bringing a sacrifice to the Lord. And, to some of us, it'd be more like, okay, this is me with my type of music, with my style that I purely love. This is the thing that I love the most. God, I want to sacrifice and give it to you. And that kind of form of worship is what we do in contrast to, for example, like artists out there in the world who kind of write songs about, I don't know, their vulnerability or their girl or their money or themselves, It's totally different.
Yeah. Because I guess, I mean, at the core level of that question, worship isn't a genre. Like, we know that isn't true, but I even find it with Spotify. If I'm uploading a song, it asks me what genre it is. I feel weird tagging worship because I'm like, well, that's not the genre. It's like, it's a jazz hip hop sound. And like, what other genres do we categorize by the lyrics? We don't
love songs.
We don't have playlists where it's like songs about cars. It's like, but we have them. If we're singing about God, we're like, oh, this is a different genre now. Like, it's not really.
It's not really.
it's a different topic. Yeah. But it can be any genre, right? I guess love songs, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I suppose even love songs, we do that a bit. It's like, this should be a ballad now because it's a love song.
Or like some of our friends who wrote songs, and then later on, some of the crowd people were like, "Wow, who's this guy that keeps chasing after you?"
Right.
The song was about like you see me everywhere I go or something.
Yeah,
you know, they were really concerned.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was Sarah Beatty, right?
Yeah.
Where can I run to?
Where can I run to?
Just from the Psalms as well. But,
Which is it's interesting, right? How that kind of fits into the world.
Yeah. I always remember my brother used to play my songs in his office for like his friends who weren't Christians. And somebody came in one day and he was like, "I really like your brother's music. It's like really good." He's like, "If you just pretend the songs are about women and not God, like it's great. You can still listen to it." And I'm like, that's not really the point of these songs. But I think that's the interesting thing when you do different genres. Like I don't go in a coffee shop here and hear like CCM worship music. Because that's just not that type of genre that fits that space, right? So it's interesting when you do take those genres and use them as worship that they end up in interesting places and
it does
reaching interesting people.
And it just opens up that natural conversation, maybe, you know. Whereas like maybe if you're playing songs that just continuously play Holy Holy the whole time, it was funny, like on YouTube when our friend, like we posted like a video about a cover of a worship song, and then one guy's like, "Why did YouTube algorithm send me to this brainwash music?" Right. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, true. That does actually sound brainwashy if you know, people who don't understand the context."
That's true. Because like you say, it's not a genre. I always say worship is a response at the core level. It's like responding to who Jesus is. When you see him, you like experience a relationship with him. You respond in some way, and how you respond is your worship. And then that can sound any way. It can look a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be music. You know. Just
show yourself, be yourself, and make something
original.
Unique. I guess.
Break out of those templates. That was a weird sound to use in that.
Break out of your templates, guys.
You can do it, guys.
You got it. Well, I mean, speaking of like people doing stuff, like we have a Discord group.
We do.
And there's a... We do. And there's some cool stuff that happens there, don't we? I mean, like...
There's a lot of cool things.
It's a lovely, lovely, lovely platform of lovely stuff.
And some chaos, to be honest.
I think maybe like 80% chaos.
Yeah.
20% like pretty cool. Fun.
It's a lot like this podcast.
It really well, though.
Every now and then, something worthwhile comes out.
But it's been really cool just seeing people develop and create stuff, and we actually have a channel for that, right? In there,
we do. Things we made. Just like we have things we like.
Things we made.
Oh, we could like sing over it. Made. Things we made. Yeah, it's a place where people share things they've made on its most basic level. So we have all sorts of people on there. We got illustrators, animators, game designers, musicians, obviously, photographers, culinary, creatives,
artists,
culinary artists,
food artists,
poetry, slammers. I don't
poetry
know.
slammers,
poets, loofers. What do you call it? Is that a thing?
don't
Something to do with wood, I think, isn't it? I just made that up. Carpenters. But there's a thing of like
Lutherans?
Not Lutherans. Baptists, like evangelicals, Windows XP engineers. We got it all.
It's all there. It's all there.
Anyway, we've started doing a thing this year where we feature a piece of art that's been shared in the Things We Made channel on our server banner, so people can go in there and see. Here's a cool thing. So this month is actually our friend Arn Tai, 32Arn.
Yes.
Classic username.
3210.
Who has covered several Rivers and Robots songs. And that was a nice sound to come in and play.
Good job.
Just felt like we needed that. And she did a great video with another friend of ours, Lauren. Showing her like painting stuff. Who's from the band Atlas Roads.
Yes.
I'm just shouting out every possible person that ever existed at this point. But anyway, we took a film photography from that video. Used it as a server banner this month. And it's great. We love it.
For sure.
But if you want your chance to be featured on the server banner, then you got to post in the Things We Made channel. Oh, what are we getting? Things we made.
Thank you.
So you know what to do now.
Yeah. My daughter.
But yes, come join the Discord if you want some more chaos in your life.
Yes.
And some community.
Yeah, and please join us. I mean, we're there too. We're having fun talking, Chen.
Yeah. Staying up too late.
Yeah. It's usually like the late nights usually when you're on.
Yeah, it's when it pops off. 1 a.m.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a link somewhere.
I don't even know how you put links
I
in
have no
podcasts. In the bio? No, we don't have a bio.
Yeah, there's no bio.
Link in the description. I think there's descriptions.
I guess you can put in the description, but those things kind of expire, right? The link, so
find the link within your heart. It's on our website as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you find it, then
you were meant to find it.
Exactly. If you can't find it, I guess you'll just have to wait.
Then it wasn't for you.
Just wasn't.
But that's okay.
Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this. Really, it's been fun, and we're looking forward to doing more of this. Right?
We are.
Yeah. So. And thank you. If you guys listened to the whole time, thank you. We're still trying to figure this out. Here's my baby.
Oh, dude, he's coming with another sound. Oh, that was a dramatic one.
We're figuring this out. Anyways.
That's the end.
That's the end.
Stay safe. Eat your vegetables. Go for a run, maybe.
Yeah, go for a run. Like, good days coming up. It's spring and all that too, so right?
Unless it takes us like 6 months to put this episode out.
Yeah, in that case, I guess.
Wait for a nice day and just run for a bit.
Just go to the gym.
Ooh.
I guess.
Okay, bye everyone.
Thank you, bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Magnify Studio podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you want to support the work that we're doing, we have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/Magnify Studio. We share little behind the scenes extra snippets on there. And for some of the tiers, we even do a monthly Zoom call. If that sounds like your kind of thing, check us out on Patreon, and we'll see you soon with another episode.